This video will focus on how to write the introductory paragraph for your signature assignment, specifically for the main essay in the signature assignment where you're writing about a short story or other work of literature. So the first thing you want to do in your introduction is to establish your topic. And for this kind of an essay where we're writing about what an author's observations are, there are a couple different ways to do this. So let's remember first of all that the assignment is to investigate what an author's observations are on a diversity related topic. Something like gender, race, class, sexual orientation, etc. So to begin establishing that topic, you could describe a specific event from the story that really shows that that story is focused on that topic. Just pick out one particular event, one incident, something a character does or says that really demonstrates that the story is very focused on that topic. And often you can include a brief quote as you do that to demonstrate that. Secondly, you could just describe briefly what the norms of this time period were for this topic, followed by a transition into how the work is focused on it. So you might just say, okay, what were things like for women in this time period, or for gay people in this time period, or for poor people, or for Native Americans, or whatever topic you're focused on. Just a couple sentences, 2, 3, maybe 4, just to give a little taste of that, and then transition into how the work of literature is also interested in that topic at that time period. Lastly, you could describe an event from our world that relates to this topic if it'll transition into how the work is focused on that topic in a different time period, perhaps. So we're looking here for 3 or 4 sentences max. We don't want to go on too long because we want to next get to our purpose. So after a brief transition, we want to present the main question that the essay will address, which is, of course, what are the observations about the particular topic the story's focused on? So what are the author's observations on gender, sexual orientation, stereotyping of Native Americans, economic inequality, whatever it is that you're writing about. That could be presented in the form of a rhetorical question. Probably more commonly, it would be in the form of a statement about how the author is in fact making observations about that topic. So if you've just talked about an incident from the story, you could say, well, given the story's focus on this incident, it is clear that the author has some points or observations to make about it. Or if you talked about some norms of the time period, you could say this story also deals with that issue. And that's going to be about one sentence because we want it to be pretty boiled down. Lastly, we'll come to the thesis, and the thesis, most importantly, needs to say what the author's observations are. An observation could be a point the author's making, a lesson they want to teach, an insight about human behavior. Those are all different kinds of things that an observation could be. Now you want to be very specific about what each observation is so that someone could read just the thesis and without having to read the rest of the essay, they would know exactly what each observation is. So you'll probably have at least a couple, if not 3 or 4 different observations, because that'll help develop your essay. Each observation will get a body paragraph, as we'll talk about later. And you want to make sure when you're laying out these observations that they're all parallel. Right? So use a series, for example, of verb first clauses. And this should all be done within the space of about a sentence, ideally. In the next video, we'll look at some good and bad examples of this type of paragraph.